Sometimes you just have to take a hard look at a design and go, that's not going to work. Especially when 100% of the models have snapped on you, even if it's gorgeous, even if it's beautiful, but it's just, oh, it sounds nice. It's just not viable. So we have gone a different direction. We are working now with a sturdy stand. It's not pretty, and all of these still have a lot of supports on them still, because, well, I just think that they look neat, and I can't be bothered to clean them up until I know they're going to pass a drop test, and they're not going to shatter on its first outing out. So we've reworked our battleship and given it a it's orbiting over a planet, a hive world, and hopefully that will work out well. And we're going to go right back to where we were with a red wash. Start out with on these guys, and then we will be adding a black wash and a red dry brush and a green wash, and over until we have something that we really like. So we're going to mix up some red here. We're going to make it a little bit thicker than we did last time. We know it's going to look awfully strong and pink at first, but the dark wash and the red wash are going to go a long way to disguise that. So we're gonna just go on top. Everything on top will get this red wash, and we can clean that up. And it is so nice to come outside with a paint kit in a tackle box and paint outdoors. We want us to be very, very thin so that we can get some of our free shading from using a black primer and then a white highlight. Go in, darken that up a little bit. We have so much red to cover, but I'm hoping it will all look really good in the end. We haven't gotten to the part where we're going to highlight some engine flare with dry brushing later, because all of our models have broken before we got to that part. Okay. I hadn't really thought about how he would be painted. And there were so many problems with the previous design. It was very, very, very snappy, and the spires were so thin that it literally would hurt a little bit to pick up. So let's just go red on top. We'll just do all red on top, green on the bottom or the sides, with gold highlights. And we're not being too careful because I don't know how to be careful on this model yet, because right now we're just slapping paint on, trying to go for just coverage. And we don't want the paint to well up on us at all. So we're going to let gravity do a lot of the work of moving the excess paint around our model for us. And I thought I'll talk a little bit about the fan game, because it has void ships in it as well. I am having the hardest time in the fan game trying to figure out how to show the player their forces, their Space Marines. I had a nice setup earlier where I had a kind of a fakey two-dimensional panoramic view as seen from the command throne of the ship, and page numbers would just go from first company to second company to third company, or squad. Company if you have 100, and squad if you have 10 Space Marines on that page. And then give orders to everyone on the page. So the page or squad or company of Marines would then go and do the mission. And you as the player don't go on the mission with them, because the player is not a chapter master or a Space Marine, but the player is the mission itself. That's not bad. That will look really good, I think, when we have a lot more coverage and the dry brushing. So the player is the mission, and that means, what does that mean? That means they're not tied to any one character. And I know that is a turnoff for a lot of people. But I think in the long run, when we're talking 10,000 years of gameplay, that'll be good, because you're not gonna. It is very, very unlikely that you will have the same Marines, or any of the original Marines from the 100 Marines I give the player at the start of their mission. And the mission right now is to protect, I think it's between 5 and 12 pilgrim worlds, shrine worlds. And the idea is that these guys, you have a charter at the very beginning of the game, and the charter is that you are kind of like old-fashioned medieval knights, and you are protecting a pilgrim path, one small part of the empire. And the pilgrim path has its own seed in galaxy generation. So you can keep that path, you can share that path, and like you can keep or share the galaxy generation path or the Space Marine chapter seed. In this way, if you really like this set of Space Marines, but the world or the galaxy that you're playing in, either maybe you've defeated it, maybe you've won, maybe you can't win and you want to go back and start over again, but you want to start with those same chapter attributes and the same 100 start Marines. So that's why we're going with the seed-based galaxy generation. Plus, it means I don't have to make a lot of decisions. That I can make a lot of assumptions about the Imperium, and I can let the computer and the player fill in the blanks. And it won't be, they're basically just slightly different. The pilgrim path will exist in a sector. The sector has usually between 200 and 1,000 planets in it. So it gets, it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be overwhelming for the player, and that's what I want. And quite honestly, it's going to take about 1,000 hours to play the game on normal speed from its start 7 years after the Horus Heresy to, I'm going to end it at the Great Rift. I'm going to end it in the 41st millennium. And then you win. That'd be awesome. You can play again, but I want to give the player, look, you're going to have up to 1,000 hours with this game at a time, and there's plenty of time to do things. I'm looking for a game designer to help me out with a lot of those decisions, because a lot of times I just want to concentrate on coding the systems. What I'm working on right now is exciting for me, but probably one of the most boring parts of the game, boring part of any Warhammer novel. I'm modeling what happens to the Void ship when they enter the system, enter a friendly Imperial system, and they enter in the Mandival Point, a far distance from the sun, far distance from the Imperial world they're going to, where it's considered, safe to exit the warp. And so there will be weeks to months of travel, not warp travel, but just inter-system travel. And that's what I'm modeling right now in the game. And it exists. It takes the player, or the player can then leave the galaxy map and go into what I'm calling real world space, and get a nice vector graphic of the spaceship and the worlds, the sun, all of that, all into scale, which will be important later when we're doing some orbital bombardment and things like that for planets. It's not bad. That's not bad at all. So these are both battleships, and then destroyers. And I'm hoping that with a light enough red that we will keep all those highlights and those darks, and it will just look really good, as long as we can remember to go as thin as possible on all the paint, especially this initial wash. Painting outdoors here in Atlanta is so much better, so much more fun than in Seattle. I love my campsite, little cabin in the woods in Seattle, where I do a lot of outdoor painting, but it rains a lot. It's cold, it's wet, it's windy. Paint takes a little bit longer to dry because of that. And here in Atlanta, it's just really nice. There's a constant breeze blowing that's taking away moisture and heat. Just going to go and paint these up as fast, as quickly, and as thin as possible. But looking at the last week painting the Indomitable Reason here, I printed up 5, and 4 of them snapped. So just from dropping, one of them snapped in the car, went over a bump or something, I don't know. It is not worthy. These little destroyers here, I've already drop tests. They're nicely robust. And we're going to assume that nobody's going to really spend a lot of time looking at the bottom. So we are giving that minimal attention to detail. It's not too bad. I think we went the right amount of thin to make sure that we don't have too many of these spaces where the pigment is welling up. So we want that to that'll dry and be too thick, and it'll dry with a shiny sheen, and it'll be very annoying and ugly. That's why we want to avoid that especially. And frigates. So I printed all these out in a set of 6. So it's almost its own task force. And I'll be putting the STL files on my itch page. So if anybody likes them, they can go ahead and download them. And please send me what you do with them, because I'm not a great painter. I just enjoy it and it helps me think. But I would love to see some examples of what to do. So that's what we're working on in the fan game, is Mandival points and intersystem travel, which we're not going to be exploring much at all, because it's not that kind of a game. We're not going to go to too many unexplored worlds and do things. It's there, it exists in the game, but mostly from mistakes. So the best way to find or discover a world right now is by the navigator failing his navigation rolls. That is going very nicely and quickly. I am liking the destroyer the most so far out of all of them. Maybe water him down just a bit more. Not using the best pigments, and I've missed quite a bit here on the bottom with the primer, but we'll just cover that up a little extra thick, and he will be fine. Just spreading the pigment around so it doesn't well up. And anything that we mess up, we're going to easily be able to fix and touch up. Here's that awful pink, but we're going to get rid of that with a black wash. We have a little bit of pigment left, so I think we have enough for one more destroyer. And we're not covering, we're not coating. We are mixing up a little bit more because we just didn't have quite enough. Splatter that all over the bottom, and forgive my spray paint hands, but I'm usually happiest when I've got paint all over my fingers. There we go. I think this one, if we can keep him nice and thin on the paint, he's going to look really good. And we will come back later. We're going to let this paint all dry. And we're going to come back later and do those washes, do that touch up. You can go and, there's a few errors, but you can go and download, just do a search for Derek Moore on itch, and that will come up my itch page if you don't have a link already, because there's some fun demos, some fun things on there, and that was a nice quick set. And making sure that we've covered everything. Stray bits of lint all over because we're outside, but that's all right. This is the stage where we're allowed to be extra messy, because in Warhammer is a bit messy of a setting. It's okay not to be perfect, in my opinion. And not too bad. Just want to thank everybody, and thank you for the patience I've had. We're going to work on him. He's got a lot of problems. Not a great ship design. But we need a capital ship, and we're going to improve on that, the rest of the fleet, and probably going to work out some combat rules this weekend at Stellarfest. Okay, thank you.